Hello, my name is Andrea, and today I'm going to design a pretty forest background. So I've been working on this animation. It stars a fox, and I started storyboarding, and literally I got 2 scenes in and I stopped, and I was like, I need to draw this background. Normally, you don't start designing backgrounds until the storyboard is locked. And then you do what's called a breakdown to make a design list, because often multiple scenes use the same background. But since I'm on my own for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and design this background with an unfinished storyboard. The background I'm going to be working on today is this nice little forest scene. It does pan slightly, so I'm going to make sure that I grab 2 images from the storyboard, the start and end of the pan, so I can make sure my background is big enough for that shot. Now in Photoshop, I'm just going to throw in those 2 images and line them up. The position of the characters is very important to keep in mind when designing backgrounds. I'll just trace them quickly on a different layer and make them a different color so I know it's not part of the background. And I'm just going to quickly remove any elements that move between the 2 shots. This foreground tree will need to be on a separate layer, so I'll just turn it off while I draw the rest of the background. Now I can start sketching. It's important to keep in mind that the storyboard isn't your sketch. It's more of a shot idea, and you should maintain the camera angle, the character placement, and any major elements, but other than that, the designer has a lot of freedom. I'm adding some moss lumps and sticks and stuff just to populate the area. And you can see that my sketch is differing from the board quite a bit. Once I have some sort of rough, I start to refine it. It's important to keep in mind that this is a background. There will be characters in it doing things, so it's important to clear the stage. This fern thing behind the bunny needs to go. It can be over here instead. And there's a bit too much clutter, so I'm just going to move and delete things and let the characters take center stage. You can also use stuff in the background to direct the eye. I want this background to say, I know I'm gorgeous, but did you see that bunny? A good background is an excellent wingman. I'll do some final fiddling, and that's pretty good. Let's clean this up. I'll just turn my sketch blue so I can easily tell the difference between my sketch and final line. I tend to zoom in a lot more when I do cleanup work, so I can really focus on making each line nice. In general, I follow the sketch, but sometimes the sketch is a bit lazy, so I make sure to fix little things up, adding texture and definition. It is slower and more tedious than the sketch, but it's actually kind of relaxing. While I'm doing the cleanup, let me just go on a quick tangent about tangents. See what I did there? Tangents are what it's called when a foreground element and a background element are touching. Well, not actually touching in space, but it looks like they're touching from the angle. Tangents draw unwanted attention away from the subjects, in a weird optical illusion sort of way. It's good to also watch out for some other weird interactions between the foreground and background. For instance, when 2 things appear to be the same shape and size, when one is close and one is far, or even when positive space and negative space are the same shape and size. Even if they are unrelated elements, they draw our attention. Our brains are trying to figure out why they look so similar. Tangents are generally easy to fix. You can just move one or both of the things creating the tangent so they overlap or are just not touching. Another thing to avoid is having many lines intersect at the same point, making a sort of starburst, or when things line up weirdly vertically. When I'm working on the final line, I try to watch out for any of these weird interactions, shifting things slightly whenever I notice them. They are also easier to spot with fresh eyes, so a trick you can do is mirror your piece, or you can get another artist to look for them. They'll usually point them out pretty quickly. While you're inking, it's good to make sure to separate any of your major planes onto separate layers. Most importantly, anything that parallaxes or goes in front of the characters.
You need to make sure to draw underneath foreground elements that move, so there isn't a hole in the painting. It's also just handy if you'd like to recycle any of the elements for other backgrounds. I usually make sure to paint behind any line work that is separate in shades of gray, just so you know they are separated. Now that I'm done inking everything, I'm just going to give a quick check over for any tangents or any other funny business. Oh, I see one. The negative space between these trees are the same size. Let's make it more organic. Move this guy over. Okay, now the tree and the space are the same size. We'll just do some more adjustments. Okay, good enough. There's my finished forest background. I hope you enjoyed this video. I make other videos on animation stuff, so feel free to check them out. And stay tuned for more videos, like a video where I color in this very background. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!